All right, let's dive in. The pharmaceutical industry is all about planning, right? Everything is meticulously documented, validated, and controlled. But what happens when things go completely off script? When a crisis hits and you have to act now in a system that's built for slow, deliberate precision? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down today.
Okay, picture this. Your manufacturing line is just humming along, a perfect example of pharmaceutical control, and then, bam! A critical system just dies. This is the exact tension we're talking about. What happens when total chaos crashes into your carefully controlled world? Because even the best quality management system has to be ready for the unexpected.
So, there's an official name for this kind of situation. It's called an emergency change. And we're not talking about a small hiccup here. We're talking about a major, unforeseen event that just throws a huge wrench in the works and forces you to do something immediately. This isn't about making things easier. It's about absolute necessity. And what does this actually look like on the ground? Well, it could be a whole bunch of things. Maybe a huge piece of manufacturing equipment just completely gives up the ghost, or your critical purified water system goes down. Or how about this? Your main supplier suddenly calls and says they can't deliver a key raw material. Or even worse, you find a major quality issue with a batch that's already being made. These are the real-world fires you have to put out.
Now, when the pressure is on like that, what's the first human instinct? Patch it. Find a quick and dirty fix to get the line moving again. You gotta act fast, right? But here's the thing. This exact moment, this reaction, is where a tiny problem can explode into a massive compliance nightmare. The real danger isn't the emergency itself. It's how you react to it.
So, what's the number one mistake companies make? It's not the temporary fix itself. It's what happens after. A team swoops in, they work some magic, get the line back up and running with a workaround, and then nothing. They just walk away. The formal change control, all that boring paperwork, it gets pushed to the back burner and completely forgotten.
And let me tell you, the consequence for just leaving it is severe. That forgotten paperwork, that undocumented temporary Band-Aid, when an auditor finds that, they don't see a minor slip-up. They see a major system failure. It's a giant red flag that says your entire quality management system is broken, and the regulatory fallout from that can be absolutely devastating.
Okay, so there's the dilemma. You absolutely have to be fast, but you can't be reckless. You have to fix the fire right in front of you without planting a time bomb that'll blow up in your face later. So how on earth do you balance that? How do you keep control when everything feels like it's out of control?
Well, it all comes down to one simple, unbreakable rule. The source material for this explainer puts it beautifully in Tamil, and it's so important. The principle is Vegam irandanum ulugumeri irkovandam. What that translates to is, even with speed, there must be order. Think about that. Speed is fine, urgency is expected, but chaos? Chaos is not allowed. That single idea is the key to everything.
So that's a great philosophy, but how do you actually do it? You follow this 5-step protocol for controlled urgency. Step 1, and this is the absolute non-negotiable, ensure product and patient safety. Nothing else matters. 2, do a quick and dirty risk assessment on the spot. 3, get official approval. Yep, even in an emergency, someone has to sign off. 4, document everything you're doing. And 5, the one everyone forgets, commit right then and there to completing the full, formal change control process later.
See, the point of this system isn't to tie your hands or slow you down in a crisis. Not at all. It's designed to make sure that when you have to hit the accelerator, you're still steering the car. It's all about making sure your speed has direction and documentation. It's about controlled urgency, not just blind panic.
And that brings us to this crucial idea of a temporary control. So what's the real difference between a compliant temporary measure and a dangerous shortcut that's just waiting to blow up? Well, an uncontrolled fix, it has no end date, nobody really owns it, and the risk is just floating out there, unmonitored. But a controlled temporary measure, it's the total opposite. It has a specific time frame, a person whose job it is to own it, and it's being actively watched. To make sure your fix is compliant, your documentation has to answer 4 crystal clear questions. 1, how long, exactly, is this thing going to be in place? A day? A week? Be specific. 2, who is the one person responsible for it? 3, how are we going to monitor it to make sure it's safe? And 4, what's the plan to get back to the original validated state? If you can't nail down those 4 things, you don't have a control, you have a liability.
And that's really the bottom line here.
An emergency, by its nature, is temporary. But an uncontrolled change, that temporary fix that gets forgotten, it doesn't just fade away. It sits there, like a hidden trap in your system, just waiting for an auditor to spring it. It becomes a permanent stain on your record.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? It's simple. Emergency changes are not forbidden. Regulators get it, stuff happens. But they are only okay under a very strict set of rules. They have to be controlled, they must be documented, they need a solid justification, and here's the key, they absolutely have to, eventually, go through the full rigorous review of your normal change control process. No exceptions.
So that leaves us with one final and really important question. I want you to think about your own facility, your own operations. Think about those little workarounds and quick fixes that might be in place right now. And ask yourself this: is your temporary fix actually temporary, or has it quietly become a permanent risk, hiding in plain sight?